Most people don't realize how quietly pain settles in. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It doesn't need the spotlight. It waits, patient, steady, almost polite, until a long night in a hard seat or hours lost in the glow of a screen finally give it permission to speak. If we're honest with ourselves, we've built a world in the mid-2020s where stillness has become both a comfort and a trap, a place where excitement pulls us into the moment even as our backs stiffen, our necks tighten, and our bodies whisper for movement we keep postponing. And the paradox is this: we chase joy, connection, community in these game nights, but at the cost of a quiet suffering that many carry long after the final whistle. So the question becomes, in those long stretches of stillness, when the body pleads for a rise or a stretch, do we listen or do we wait for pain to make the choice for us? Because when you look around today, you see how this issue has woven itself into the rhythm of our lives. People sit through entire games, 2, 3 hours in the same position, their muscles tightening, their spines straining under the weight of excitement and inertia. Fans lean forward, hunching without realizing it, their shoulders creeping toward their ears. Stadium seats, office chairs, couches at home, they weren't built for endurance. And in communities where resources are scarce, where ergonomic tools are a luxury, the burden cuts even deeper. Pain becomes not just a physical strain, but a social divide. Meanwhile, the science is clear. Small movements every hour, gentle stretches, even a brief walk can shift the entire trajectory. Standing tall, soft arches of the back, a simple neck tilt, these aren't just exercises, they're acts of protection. But life today moves fast. Wearables buzz reminders that people ignore. Screens demand attention. Stadium aisles feel too cramped to rise. And so pain creeps in like a shadow across the court, a slow, quiet consequence of a world that celebrates movement in athletes while forgetting about the bodies in the seats. I've seen my share of long hours in stillness. When I was organizing in Chicago, there were days spent hunched over forms at kitchen tables or sitting in community halls for meetings that stretched into the night. I remember feeling that familiar pull between wanting to stay present with the people in front of me and the ache low in my back reminding me that presence sometimes required motion. Uh, Later in the White House, situation rooms and briefing rooms weren't exactly designed with ergonomics in mind. You sit for hours tense, focused, and afterward, someone would joke that the president needs a chiropractor more than a cabinet. And I'd laugh, but beneath that humor was the quiet truth that leadership teaches you. The body isn't separate from the work. Even watching a big game with staff, I'd notice folks leaning forward, shoulders tight as the score narrowed. I'd tease them, you all look more stressed than the players, but I also felt a kind of humility because I was right there with them, forgetting that stillness has a price. And somewhere in all this lies a reflection about the world we're building together. Human beings weren't designed for prolonged stillness. Muscles are meant to lengthen and contract, spines to stack and sway, breath to move through a body that moves in return. When we deny that natural rhythm, we deny a part of our own humanity. Democracy works much the same way. It can't stay frozen, not in old habits, not in fear, not in apathy. It needs the quiet, consistent motions of collective care, the willingness to rise, stretch, and reorient ourselves when we've been stuck too long in positions that no longer serve us. Stillness can offer focus, yes, but when it hardens into inaction, it becomes a kind of slow erosion of health, of clarity, of shared purpose. Rising every hour, sharing a stretch with a friend, modeling wellness for our children. These become symbolic gestures, reminders that progress often begins not with dramatic leaps, but with small, deliberate acts. Moments when we choose to honor the body's wisdom over the noise around us. So, as you settle into those long game nights, remember this: standing up for a moment, rolling your shoulders back, easing the weight on your spine, these aren't distractions from the excitement. They're investments in your ability to enjoy it more deeply and for longer. They're small rebellions against the kind of pain that steals joy one quiet inch at a time. And in making those choices, we remind ourselves and one another that wellness isn't a privilege of the few, but a shared responsibility of the many. Which leads to a few questions worth carrying with you into the next game. What would it mean to treat movement not as an interruption, but as a form of respect for the life you're living? How might our communities change if we modeled these small acts of care for one another? And in a world that often asks us to stay still, what strength might we unlock by choosing, even briefly, to rise?